On December 19, 1985, Malachi Rappaport of Hughesville, Maryland, was returning home at midnight after his shift at St. Mary's Hospital. The road was dark and deserted, the kind of darkness that seemed to swallow up the world beyond the reach of his car's headlights. As he drove, he saw a little girl walking by herself. He slowed the car, his heart pounding with concern. The air was biting cold, and his breath fogged up the windshield. He pulled over and rolled down the window. The girl turned towards him, her face ghostly white in the moonlight. She was pale and wore a Victorian dress. Her voice trembled with a dated British accent as she spoke softly.
"Can you help me, sir?"
Malachi's mind raced with questions.
What are you doing alone this late?
"I got lost and started walking, following that light over there."
She pointed east towards the endless darkness. Malachi looked around, confused. There was no light in that direction.
What's your name? Do you know how to get home?
"My name is Millie Pendergrass. My dad has a farm in Seymour Town."
Seymour Town. Malachi had never heard of it, but the girl's distress left him no choice.
Get in the car, Millie. Let's get you home.
As they drove, the silence between them grew heavy. The narrow, winding road seemed even more treacherous under the veil of night. Millie stared out the window, her hands clasped tightly in her lap.
How did you get all the way out here?
"I don't remember."
Malachi glanced at her, his unease growing. Her dress looked like something out of a history book, and her mannerisms were far from what he'd expect of a child from this era.
How long have you lived in Seymour Town, Millie?
"All my life. Our farm is old, very old."
They continued in silence until they reached the outskirts of Leonardtown. Millie directed him down a series of dirt roads, each one narrower and more overgrown than the last. Finally, they arrived at an old, decrepit farmhouse.
"This is it."
Malachi got out of the car, intending to walk her to the door, but Millie hesitated.
"Thank you, Mr. Rappaport. I can go from here."
Are you sure? It's awfully dark.
"Yes, I'll be fine. You've done enough."
As she turned and walked towards the house, Malachi couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. The farmhouse looked abandoned, its windows shattered, and the door hanging loosely on its hinges. Malachi drove away, his mind racing with questions. When he returned to Hughesville, he couldn't sleep. The next morning, he visited the town's library, searching for any information on the Pendergrass family or Seymour Town. He found an old history book about Leonardtown, which revealed that it was once called Seymour Town in the 1700s. One entry detailed a tragic fire that had destroyed the Pendergrass farmhouse, devastating the entire family, including a young girl named Millie. His heart pounded as he read further. According to the entry, the fire had started late at night, and the remains were found near the east wing of the house, where a mysterious light was often seen.
It can't be.
Determined to find answers, Malachi drove back to the old farmhouse. The morning light revealed the true state of the place. It was nothing more than a burnt-out shell. He walked through the ruins, his footsteps crunching on the charred debris. Near what would have been the east wing, he found an old, rusted lantern. As he picked it up, a chill ran down his spine. Inside the lantern, a faint light flickered, despite there being no source of fuel or flame. Suddenly, the air grew cold, and he felt a presence behind him. Turning slowly, he saw Millie, her form translucent and eyes filled with a haunting sadness.
"Thank you for helping me, Mr. Rappaport. Now, I can finally rest."
With those words, she vanished, leaving Malachi standing alone in the ruins of the past. The lantern's light dimmed and went out, and he knew that Millie had found peace at last. Years later, as Malachi recounted his story to friends and family, he learned that he wasn't the first to encounter Millie. Every few decades, on the anniversary of the fire, she appeared to a kind soul who would guide her back home, only for the cycle to begin anew. Some said it was a curse. Others believed it was Millie's way of ensuring she was never forgotten. But Malachi knew the truth. Sometimes even the lost need helped finding their way home. Thank you for joining us for tonight's tale of mystery and the supernatural. Until next time, remember, not everything that is lost is meant to be found.